Hi, it's Lil from Made by Marley. Welcome back to our channel. What can you do when you're not, I get lots of messages for people who say that they can't hand draw. How can you create other pieces of furniture or pieces of furniture that you can be really proud of without any of those skills? Today, I am going to show you how to do something like this. This is the piece for today. It is the ugliest and it was the incredible, one of the most dirtiest things I've ever picked up. What is it? It's a little coffee table. I like the legs. The shape of the legs are nice. That was where it ended. I didn't like anything else after that. It was covered in all sorts of stuff, sticky labels, stickers, wax down in here. And if you've ever got wax on furniture, heat it up with a heat gun, wipe it with a cloth, put something soapy, wash it, heat it up with a heat gun again, clean it and get all the wax out, because when you go to paint on the top of it, it'll just repel the wax and give you a nasty finish. This has been cleaned within an inch of its life, but to be honest with you, it doesn't look much better, but we're just about to change that. What am I going to do? Today's video is about what do you do if you want to do hand painting but you can't draw. So I'm going to show you how to get an image. Now remember, they've got to be free images. If you're using somebody else's images, you have to have either permission, pay for it. But if you go on to Etsy or Google free source images of whatever image you're looking for, and it will normally come up with one, or even clip art sometimes has images that you might want to use on your furniture. So you need an image, that's a given. But I'm going to show you what to do. But I'm not going to paint the bottom half yet. I'm going to do all the artistry on the top and then see where we hit with, because I'm kind of being a little bit adventurous on this colour palette. I feel like recently, if I look around the room, I've been doing an awful lot of turquoises and blues. So I'm trying to get, well, okay, I'm just about to use a blue, but it's not going to be ending up the colour. Right, so I can put all the cleaning stuff away. I cleaned it with my cleaner. I washed it, scrubbed it. It is now as good as it's going to be for just now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the top. Now, on the live last night, I hit upon this really nice colour. It was it was hard to describe. So let's see if I can recreate it. It had more of Givany, which is this colour, a nice sort of sky bright blue, this colour, Givany. And it had less paprika, I think, about this. And let's see where this kind of lands. It was an interesting colour that I quite liked, and I thought I will store that away in my memory banks for the next time I want to paint a piece of furniture. And I think this is it. It's kind of darker than a duck egg. It's not quite Florence. It's sorry, Provence, which is a nice Annie Sloan colour. I'm thinking this is quite nice. It's a sort of, well, I mean, it is a blue, but it's not the kind of blues I've been usually using, and I am going to be putting different colours on. Thought maybe pink today might be quite nice. So that's where we're at with that colour here. Now, how I'm going to paint it. This is going to be a very stylized piece of furniture. It's not particularly distressed, although I will age it maybe with a crackle stamp. It's going to be quite neatly painted, so we're going to have to kind of fix our wee boo-boos as we go on this one. The top is horrible. There's no words to describe it, so the best way to deal with that is to do the stippling stroke. And when it comes to something that you have that has this in it, it's best to just go along with a paintbrush and get a smaller, neater brush to get into here first. Go along here first and then continue with your strokes. I am going to give it 2 coats of this just to try and eradicate some of the chips. And this is the sort of colour I think I'm looking for. I'm going to give 2 coats of this. Once it's dry, we're going to come back and we're just going to start putting our artwork on it, and then we'll get into it. Okay, so you've seen me use carbon paper before, and you've seen me attach it to the back of paper. I've already done this. Now, this is just a free source image that I found of a koi carp. Ignore this little one just now. It's not going to play a part in the design, if at all. It's just this big one we want. Now, I want one going this way and one going this way. So how I'm going to do this so that it's the same, I'm going to put the fin on that edge and the fin on this edge, and hopefully we should have the same at both sides. Now, because we've got the carbon paper, remember, the shiny side down, all we're going to do is, now this has got the lines on it, the kind of board, so it's going to go up and down while we do it. And basically all you do, oops, is try your best to trace out your shape. And as you can see, it doesn't have to be perfect because mine isn't. I just thought more, I always kind of hand draw my images, and I thought, what happens if you really aren't comfortable at drawing? And a few people say, but I can't draw. So I thought, there's no reason why you can't get the look. And the rest of this is going to be made up, of the table is going to be made up with stamps and stencils. So all the crutches and all the ways to make you feel comfortable are already there. So this just takes a little bit of time, and I'm sure you have seen me do this before on multiple occasions, but it's just kind of, it gives you a good wee line to follow. And we can put this back on once we've painted. I'm not really going to put all of these scales in because they're not going to be, I'm going to paint the shape first. I'm only kind of doing the major sort of shapes of it, because they're the parts that I'm going to need to be able to follow to paint it in. Just round here, I'm nearly done, and then I can show you how this looks. So I'm going to do the same on the opposite side of the table, and then I've got another shape that I just got off the internet, and again it was just a free shape before we put any stamps on, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with this. I'm not going to bother with any of the lines on the fins either at this point in time, because I don't need to worry about that. Now, as long as I've got a good enough outline, let me just check I've kind of done it all. Yeah, so there's one carp there. And to do this side, we remember what we did. We just made sure that this fin was on here and this fin was on here, like that. So that should give us the same positioning on this side for tracing it out once we've done that. So imagine that side's done, and I'm going to introduce this shape now. But what I'm going to do is I'm pretty much going to do the same thing. I'm going to have this edge touching and this edge touching. Now I've got a little bit of a rim here, which means that if I fold it here, I'll know where it's going to be over there. And it's exactly the same. I've got masking tape and I've taped the shiny black side down of this. Now I'm going to go away and trace this one out, and the same on the other side, and my fish on that side, and then we'll come back and we'll talk colours. Right, so I've done all my carbon paper tracings, and now I'm going to put the chrysanthemum stamp in the gaps so I can see that I have one here. So let's just line it up. It's going to be neat, but that's okay. There we go. And I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. Just whatever I do on one side, I do on the other side. So I'm only really worried about the edge of this because this is going to be a paint it, stamp it, paint it. So, no, stamp it, paint it. Oh, you know what I mean. Right, let's do the same on this side. The blue has come out a really nice colour. I like it. I'm trying to pick a different colour palette today. Something a little bit different. Now, let me just make sure that this is sort of same positioning. You see that's right, Matt?
Mm-hmm. Well, it looked all right through the camera.
Okay, it'll be fine. I don't think anybody's going to get an inch tape out and measure it once they buy it. Or maybe they will and go sit and drink their coffee and go, do you know that flower there is slightly off? That's what you'd do.
Yeah, but I've like OCD and all that.
Yeah, right. And I've got the little one here as well. Let's see.
I see things in everything.
I know.
You know, like clouds and all that, 'cause, you know.
He's always saying, look at that, or can you see that?
That's a creative brain, isn't it?
It is a creative brain that does that,
Yep.
yeah.
I must have a creative brain.
You do have a creative brain. Everybody always thinks I'm the creative one, but you're creative. This is neat, this one here. It's really tight in this space. It's just about touching its, what are we calling those bits that stick out from the front? Whiskers?
Yeah, whiskers.
Are they whiskers?
Yeah, we'll call them whiskers.
We'll call them whiskers. I wasn't quite sure because you know how
I'm sure there's a
technical.
a
Alina might know.
Alina will know.
Alina, what are those bits on the koi carp called? Are they whiskers? So if I've got that one going this way, you would say that the other side, it's going to go this way. And again, we know it's pretty tight for here. Now, have I got room for any more flowers? Let's see. I think maybe we should put some leaves in instead. So I'm going to just, well, the thing is, I opened up my new stamp today because I'm ashamed of my old chrysanthemum stamp. It's so bad. Oh, if you've never used an IOD stamp before, it's actually incredibly simple. All you do is cut this off of the edge, making sure there's no sharp bits. I like to, when I first started with IOD years ago, I used to take them off the backing, but I realised my folly. What stamps do I want? This one here, I think. Yeah, my current set of this is in a shocking state because I use this, see this flower here, this one, I use it on just about everything, and I'm trying not to use it on this one, trying very hard. Right, so I've got 2 leaves here. All I need to do is, I just need to season them, so just get them ready for taking the ink, because, so I kind of go always this way. Because if you don't do this, it really is like, it's not just for the lols that we do this. It is actually, have you ever forgotten to kind of do this with your stamp and go to use it? The ink just repels right off of it. Right, that one's ready. I shouldn't really be doing this on my surface, but I'm being very careful. There now. Oh, just brushed it away. Gosh. Right, okay, leaves. Let's see. Where are we doing them? Let's get one onto here. So let's put this one in here. We're just kind of making a jigsaw puzzle of the design. Now, you shouldn't be stamping on your furniture. That is a no, no, no. Do not do it.
But you're going to do it anyway?
Well, just, I've kind of got used to it and I'm careful, but I have rued the day. Ask me how I know. You shouldn't, but it's to save my back. If I'm honest, it's to save my knee getting up and down all the time.
Grab that sheet there that you've just taken off.
Yes, where did I put it?
It's on there. It's on there underneath the other one, I think.
Yeah, that's what I normally do, just for safety. There we go. We can stamp with gay abandon now. Look at that. Right, now, this one's going this way. So this one is going this way. So you can see how everything runs opposite. It's a good way of doing it. I'm going to do that wee sort of stem into there and kind of join that together when I get to painting this. It's worthwhile taking the time at this stage to make it what you want it to be. I really want to have this one, but I'm wondering how I can make it work. I think I'll just have it coming slightly onto this pattern, because then that's going to make our corner. Oh, see, that's why you shouldn't stamp in your furniture. I just wanted you to see that's not a good thing to do. Right, so I'm going to make sure that it's on at this corner and have it like this, so it's slightly on here, but that's okay. It's our design. We can do whatever we like. The same will happen in the opposite corner, and I'm either going to try and fit this one, or I don't really want it coming out from the fish. That would look a little bit silly. We'll have it coming this way, will we? No, we won't. What we'll do is, where is it? Is there a small one of these? See, I'm trying to avoid that one. That's very naughty. Let's just do a little bit of flower on the edge of this one. And let's just do this. Right, and I'm going to do these other two corners. So I'm just going to set up with the paint palette and I'm going to do all the base coats, but I'm going to show what colours I'm going to do them as the base coats. Okie doke. Okay, so I'm going to use a multitude of sort of colours on this. I think I'm going to do the koi carp, a sort of, I'm going to do them paprika, and the fins I'm going to do in Scandinavian pink because they're from the same family. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up a purple, which I'm going to just do now, which is for the chrysanthemum. So I've got Capri Pink and Frida Blue. And let's see what this mix is. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Now, if you wanted it a lighter, you'd add more Capri Pink, and if you wanted it darker, you'd add more of your Frida Blue. But I think this is just nice.
That's a lovely purple.
Yeah, what you want to do is you want to spray it with some water if you're going to be hand painting, because that way it thins it down and it makes it easier to paint with. So I'll start.
It helps your brush move.
It does. It does.
It does.
You know, Martin, you're so right. It does help your brush
Otherwise,
move.
it gets stuck.
It does get stuck. Now I'm going to just go straight in with this grip brush here because, oh, it's quite a lot of paint in my brush, and I'm going to paint these in. I'm going to get Martin to put up the cameras so that you can see me painting in. Now these are just base coats because we're either going to be stamping over the top of them or painting detail over the top of the fish, because we can put our carbon paper back on and we can make that good. Now I've told you this before, but when I'm doing stamp it, paint it, stamp it, I go slightly over on my edge. I want to run that down in that wedge as well. Just a little bit, just so that it's not a blue line. So really, that's all we're going to be doing here for quite a while. Painting this all in. I'm going to be doing my leaves in Furrow and Amsterdam green, because I think they'll complement the purple. There's a bit of gold leaf floating around in there. I don't know where it came from. You might not have used it for a week, but it's still floating around. So you get what I'm doing. I'm painting in Stamp It, Paint It, Stamp It, and I'm going to be painting in this. But you'll see me do it as I do it. And Martin will speed it up so you're not missing anything. Okay. Okay, so you watched me paint this in yesterday. Let's just do a wee recap on colours. So the koi carp, the main body is paprika, and the fins are Scandinavian pink, and these parts here, these little fins as well, and the mouth is being done in furrow. This was capri pink and Frida blue, and this pattern here was Emperor silk and a little bit of Scandinavian pink. So Emperor silk is a red. The leaves were done with Amsterdam green, which is a dark racing green with furrow over the top. So that's the colours, because I didn't really talk through the colours today. Now, I just want to say for the record, there is absolutely nothing at all wrong, and you shouldn't feel ashamed about how you get from the beginning of your journey to the end of your journey. If you need to trace something to make something beautiful, and then you're going to do lots of things round about it, it is still your own. It is your own. There, you know, like, because you're kind of getting a black and white drawing. I mean, I was going to say this as well. The images that you find are better, just type in black and white line drawing, because you're going to make this your own. It's never going to look like this when it's finished. There is no shame in doing this, and because this is the gateway to hand painting yourself and coming up with your own ideas. You need to have your brain to know your brain needs to know the feeling and have the muscle memory to be able to do it. So I think things like this are absolutely fine. I mean, there's so many furniture artists that don't even hand paint at all. Even at something like this, they just use transfers and sometimes just paint. So, you know, this is you on the road to, because when you can do a bit of hand painting, it means you can add it to different things. Like you can add it to borders for your decoupage paper, or you can make it your focal image and then add transfers.
It's like everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
The more you do these kind of things, the more you gain in confidence.
That's exactly
right. So you
right.
do this first,
Yeah.
and then you move on to, well, I think I could try a little bit of that, and I think I could try a little bit of that.
Yeah. And I think I'm giving you full permission, 100%, to go off, find images and pursue this and do it and see what you think. It is yours. Never feel ashamed. And the thing is, you just do you. Just own your own things. Be loud and proud. It's nothing to do with anybody else. And at the end of the day, when you line your furniture up against other people, yours will look like it's completely hand painted and original. So there you go. You don't have to be like me and draw images. I mean, I'm doing it today with it because I mean I could probably draw this, but I looked at it and went, I'm not drawing that. I haven't got time for that today. I'm going to do this, and that's okay. Right, okay, that's enough. Okay, I've got some enough said. I've got some tacky spray here now. I've only got a tiny little bit left in my can actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly kind of give my my cart a bit of a scoosh with some spray, and we're going to put some of our carbon paper on the back of it again. Why is it cut out this time? It's purely cut out because so we can fit it over the top of the koi carp that we already have. We don't want it to I'm hoping that that sticks on. I might have to do this. Yeah, just a wee scoosh. We now need to cut this out. It's a little bit complicated, but because we can't see through it, this is the best way, I think, to go about it. So now you just need to, and I'm doing this on camera, which means that I'm going to go quite quickly, but you can probably take your time. The neater you do this stage, the nicer it'll be when you position it over the top.
Or through the magic of my editing, we can speed through this to.
That's what to do, Matt, and just speed me up
here.
I'll keep
filming you,
and I'll stop talking. So what I'm going to do now is, after that super fast cut now, I'm going to just place my carp on top. I didn't cut all of the bits just perfectly. Like in and around the mouth here, I didn't do that, but I think if I get the position right everywhere else, it should be pretty good. Now, I did go probably over my lines a little bit because that's how I roll, but I couldn't find my pen. Martin and I searched high and low this morning. My stable is a bit like my house. It's like the Bermuda Triangle. You have something 1 minute and then you go to use it again and it's gone. Isn't that right, Martin? Just want
So
to check.
true.
I just want to check that this is coming out. Yeah. It's a nice light colour, the pink, so it should be fine. And all we're doing now is putting the detail. Now, it's a wee bit fiddly. I've got to admit, it's cutting around your carbon paper. You could stick it on with tape, but you'd have to go kind of round the edges and make sure the tape wasn't over where you wanted to transpose it. But I was just saying to Marty, it's easier than hand painting hand drawing a piece if you're not good at hand drawing. So there is that bonus. It doesn't matter whether you use a pen or a pencil, it just has to be sharp. Now, the good thing about this is once you've done it once, you've stuck the paper on this one and the other shape, you can just use it on that shape over there. You're just turning it around. So you're only having to do it once, if you know what I mean. Some of these are being thrown off because of the sort of the slats. What are we calling it?
Scales?
Shiplap.
Oh, the shiplap. Right.
Yeah. It's throwing my scales off, Ammo.
Can't have that.
No. No. Gotta make sure you do it all, and that's the thing here. I'm not doing the outside edges because I'll just line it all as an outside edge, so we're pretty good there. And as you can see, I'm not exactly, I mean, you can see some of it's a bit rough. Sometimes I forget bits when I pull up my paper and I just make it up. I normally can do that because I've drawn it myself and I just can do that. But on this, you can just do the same. If you've missed a bit, just kind of look at your image and go, right, well, that line's got to be there. So nothing's lost if you pull it up and you've missed a few bits. See how I always make things okay for you? It's because I've done it. I do it myself all the time.
Do you know what as well?
It would be a very dishonest channel if I never showed anything going wrong or I never told you ways to work it out. It would be a bit fake. So I think it's good to tell you all of the things. What were you going to say, Emma?
I was going to say it's that thing that you constantly say as well, which is, it's not the end of the world, is it? It's not,
no.
You're going to
not life-threatening.
You're going to make little mistakes from time to time and just paint over them, or just run with it, or just go, well, you know what, I actually like
still
that.
like it. Yeah, I think the only one.
Don't get too hung up about any of these things.
The only one that's kind of, I always think it's a bit stressful is if you wasted a transfer. But everything else, there's nothing else in furniture art that is you can't redo. I mean, even transfers can be fixed or painted over or done with. I mean, there's never really a bad part in that either, if I'm honest. Well, let's just have a wee look at our wee fishy and see how he's. Oh, not got any marks on this fin. Try that again. Pull up this paper. Yay! Right. Okay. That's what I'm going to be doing that, and I'm going to be doing it on my other carp over here, and literally the same. My big shape, this shape here, I'm going to be doing exactly the same thing as I've just done. I'm going to be cutting it out, putting my. I mean, you could try and spray it at this stage, spray down in it, and then cut it out. I just had already taken the paper off it at the back. So once I've got to that stage for all of this, I'll get Martin to come back and we will start working out how we're going to paint all this in. Okay, I'm going to try something different today. I used to use these when I was a ceramic artist all the time. And I was thinking the other day, what is a cheaper way if you don't have Poscas? This is going to be slightly trickier to work with than a Posca, but it is a cheaper alternative. These are pennies. I mean, they're not pennies, but they were really cheap, and they're just little squeezy bottles that squeeze out paint. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use acrylic only because I think that maybe my chalk paint will block up the needle. It used to do that with glaze, so I'm thinking something a bit smoother. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put my end of and put my red in here like that. Do not want to make a mess, but it is me, so we're just never sure. Let's just squeeze them all in just now. I've got some water in this last one to just slightly thin it out, slightly. We don't want, now I want this green. And I'm doing the same thing. Green in here. Trying desperately not to make a mess. Hot pink. Because everybody needs a little bit of that in their life. Some people don't like pink. I think it maybe depends the colour of pink. Some people maybe don't like some, maybe like a kind of lighter pink. I don't know. I do. I know Ginny doesn't like pink. Right. And the last, I'm going to put an ochre. Ochre is one of my favourite kind of colours to work with. And I usually always have ochre acrylic. Now, that's the colours. These two here we're going to mix together, some black and some of this deep green for a sort of darker liner, but I put the water in the liner once. So let me just, is it easier if I do this to show, Martin? Yeah. So I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of water, just a little bit. Can you see how much has gone into that? Not much.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, same here.
Again, so I just focus.
I've done that one. Wait, I'll get another one. Right, tell me when you're focused.
Okay.
Focused?
Yeah.
That much water.
I think it showed up.
I'll do this one as well so you can see. Squish.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yep.
Whoops, I've managed to get red on the end of my nozzle. That is never a good look. Wait, I get a cloth. Right, what's left over in here, I'm just going to squeeze a little bit out back into my bottle because I won't need all that water. And this will probably be the way to show you because this is in mils. So that's 25 mils. So I've got...
Oh, there we go.
So that's 25 mils there. But I'm only using half of that. So there's not much water at all, really. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right, and the last one is going to have the deep green, which I want more predominantly the deep green with just a touch of black in it, just to darken it up. And once you've got these mixed up, you can just set them aside. They come with little plastic toppers that you can top off, but I just used to put a little bit of masking tape over the top of them so that the little holes don't block up. And they're just like any sort of, that you could, they're not raised, they're just, you know, paint, you know, they're not, it won't make it raised. But you could add a little bit of a thickener, but I really do think it would be tricksy to get it out of the nozzles. Right, so screw our lids on, make sure they're on really tight, because that would be a disaster. Nice and tight. I mean, this could be a way so that you don't have to buy really expensive Poscas. I'm just going to give it a good shake, but I'm not going to shake it in my work.
Want me to give them a shake?
No, I'm capable of shaking, Martin.
Okay.
I can shake.
Just offering to help.
I know. You shake the hair dye, don't you? That's your job. You're the hair dye shaker.
Can violently shake them.
Oh, you're very good at it. That's why we always ask you. Right. Lastly, the big one. Now, Marty did say, you haven't done this in a while. Are you going to practice off camera? I said, oh, no, I'm not going to.
Are you going to give this little run out before you show
No, I'm not. I'm just going to go for it.
No.
Right, okay, so let's start with our fish. I don't want to put any dark liner on it first, but let's go in with this ochre and see.
Hang on, come on this side.
Roll my sleeves up, I mean business. There's not much I can do when it goes into the shiplap. I really need to make sure that I'm quite careful in covering my my lines. Now, this is slightly raised, which I quite enjoy, but it'll be fine for the table. It's not going to... Now, the technique is to lean it onto your thing, lean it onto your wood. That way you can control it. Don't hold it above it. It's going to be too difficult to control. It's all coming back to me now. See, we're on a roll. I just thought this might be a nice way to kind of give it a little bit of impact. And this is another sort of one of those cheap things that it's not really that difficult to control. If you can use a pencil and a pen, you've got your line to go around, so it's not going to be, it shouldn't go wrong. Just don't over squeeze it. Now, I understand maybe this is getting slightly boring now, but I need to get the yellow on before I can start adding other colours. And this is going to give us a marvellous little sort of frame because it's slightly raised to put things in. Because you know how I like to overgild the lily, as Martin would say.
Just a little bit.
I need to tell you a really funny story about this table. I'll tell you the story while I'm doing this and then it'll be not so dull. When I saw this table and it was in a sort of antique sort of junk combined with lots of different things shop that has not long opened in Galashiels. And I saw this table outside.
Sitting out on the street with loads of other stuff piled on top of it.
And it you've got to admit, it's the ugliest looking thing you've ever seen. But anyway, I said to Martin, I think I'm going to get that. You know, I think it's got potential.
Go and find out how much it is.
Martin said he would go in and see how much it was. So he came out and he told me the price. And I went, oh, yeah, let's get it. And he said, fab. So I was wandering around the shop, as you do, you know, looking at things that I might like. While Martin was kind of paying for it and organising it because we were going to have to double park to pick it up. Oh, see, you had to be like a ninja there. I'm just going to make sure that that's pushed on. My lid nearly came off. What did I do with the cloth? Oh, I threw it down here. It's because, Martin, these are kind of really hard to get to. I'll just make sure that Martin wasn't here, as you can see by the video, when I put these together. If he'd been here, it maybe wouldn't have done that right. So let's try again. I didn't make any errors. Maybe here, but I can fix that. Anyway, Marty was paying for the table and that was fine. But she said, oh, we don't take card in here. We only take cash. Martin said, by this point in time, I'd wandered over to the checkout. Now, I'm not the most sociable butterfly, to be honest with you. I just appear so because I'm on YouTube, but, you know, I'm not given to, you know, being too big in the conversations when I'm out and about. So it got a bit awkward because Martin went away to pay and the lady turned to me and she said, oh, what are you going to do with the table? It's a beautiful table. And she was saying how beautiful it was. And I said, really? I said, it's quite ugly. I went, I'm going to paint it. And she went, oh, I used to be a furniture upcycler. I said, did you? I said, what kind of things did you do? She went, I used Annie Sloan chalk paint.
Have you ever heard
of Annie Sloan? And I said, yes, I have. I use Annie Sloan chalk paint. She said, oh, I did some beautiful things with Annie Sloan chalk paint. I said, oh, did you? And then she said, oh, yes, I did some lovely things. And I said, do you still do furniture? And she said, oh, no, I don't. I found my work was kind of hard to sell. And I went, oh, yeah. I can see that. And she said, so what are you going to do? What sort of colour are you picking for your table? And I went, oh, I don't know. I went, I'm going to do something funky with it. And she said, oh, really? And then I said, do you want to have a wee look at on my phone at some of my work? And she said, yes. And I pulled out my phone and I showed her that I was in the first UK Annie Sloan Painters Challenge. And she kind of looked at me and she went, oh. And then I showed her a piece that I'd hand painted and she said, oh, is that decoupage? I went, no, that's hand painted. I said, however, I do have an international decoupage company. And then I felt suddenly so embarrassed. I couldn't wait for Martin to come back. I really didn't know what to say to her after that. And she went, oh, well, I mean, I wasn't on your league. And I went, it wasn't a competition. I just wanted a table. So there, that was funny. And Marty and I were giggling when we left. Now, what I'm trying to do with the fins is do a little sort of dot. You kind of naturally get one when you start. And so I'm kind of doing this just to kind of give it a little bit of movement. You can start getting really funky with these once you get your eye in. I mean, it's been a number of years since I've done this on ceramics, but it was how I used to do my commission. I did an awful lot of commissions. Now, I'm not lining the outside yet. So I kind of like this, but then you can do things like this. Not this colour though. Let's pick a different colour. I just want to check the lid is completely on it, because that would be awful. Or maybe no. So you could do, and you can get really quite involved.
And you will.
And I'm just thinking Martin's going to be a long time. Oh, coming back before this one's a little bit funky. Let me just try. It's kind of got a block in it. We'll just ignore that little one beside it that had a whoopsie. Nobody will notice. So dots, you're just squeezing. It's kind of almost like Lipan, Indian Lipan art. I've been wanting to do something like this for ages. I was smiling when I showed Marty these. It's giddy this morning, wasn't I?
These little pots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, oh, I can't wait to use these.
The giddiness started last night because they arrived late yesterday. And Lo was over here and she came back into the house and I'd unboxed everything and left a little pile of goodies on the table for her. You know, she's like, ooh, I've been waiting for these.
Yeah. I have a simple life, really, you know. Some little plastic tubes, but I don't
think there's anything unusual about you. I'm sure all your audience will appreciate this.
Oh yeah, they do. When you get new craft stuff,
new craft materials arrive.
I mean, they just look like dull little plastic bottles, but I knew their potential, and these things are not expensive at all. I'm trying to think what the search would be, because I used them for ceramics, but I think the search might be ceramic squeezy bottles.
I'll see what I can find and put some links in the description.
I don't think I'm going to do Roundy's mouth. So I think you can see that this is going to get quite involved. So what I'm going to do
back to the trusty remote cameras,
so you don't have to endure all of this, is I'm going to get Martin to put the cameras up. I feel like because I've done all that. What? Red. Thinking maybe I'm just adding artistic license now. I'm putting some red in my pink. Now you really have to be careful that you do not lean on this. You really do. I mean, I'm going to have to be really on it because I've got a terrible habit of leaning on my work, and it's okay with chalk paint. You can just redo it, but I think this might be a little bit of a nightmare, so we're not talking about doing this again. So I'm going to move around the table. I think with the green I will outline these fins with the red.
These are great, aren't they? It's like the old days in the pottery shop.
It is, yeah. I was just thinking that. I thought once I get my eye in it, I think these will be quite good. I mean, it's a little bit stilted at the moment, but I think that's a good thing to show people, you know, that it's been a long time since I've done it, and this is how easy they are. Just put my dots down here. I don't know what's happened to the fin there, so we'll just do this. Right, you get the gist. I'm going to be using my pink, my ochre, my red, and at the end, when this is all done, I'm going to go around it with the very dark liner, the sort of black mixed with the green. And then Once this is dry, we'll get to stamping in our flowers, and then we'll get to the rest of the design. We're only just getting going. Fantastic. All right, so you hopefully saw that all on the camera. You'll see that on the camera, I don't bother restamping. I just go around it. But if you're not comfortable doing that, just restamp. I'm going to do the flowers next. I also kind of did the outline on these flourishes and then just kind of went and did a sort of scribbly part round about it just because I could. So what have I got here? So we don't need these two leaves. Well, I don't need them, so we'll sit them here. And can I just tell you a little top tip? They do come with little lids, these bottles, if you end up buying them. But just get a box of dressmaking pins and put the top in. That seals it and keeps the paint runny, but also it unblocks it at the same time. And if you just sit them on your paint shelf like that, they'll be ready to use the next time. So that's a little top tip on that. Now we have our two main leaves, and I've got a piece of plastic down here. Don't worry, I'm not just going rogue on the furniture. I'm using Scandinavian pink. I deliberated for quite a while of what colour I was going to use, but I decided this one. So with all stamping, you need to get the paint on the roller first, then get rid of what you don't need. So you'll know when your rollers, and just get that to the side. You don't need all that excess. Get your stamp, roll your stamp, make sure you've got all the edges. Sit your stamp down, twirl your stamp around, and then just...
Sorry.
Oh, did you just catch the camera in my hair?
I did.
There could be anything in my hair. It could be a bird's nest or anything. We're never quite sure.
Got the edge of your glasses.
Oh, I thought it was my hair. That was making me giggle, Matt. So what I'm going to do now is literally, I'm going to do now we've painted them, we've stamped them, we've painted them, and now we're going back over with a colour that's going to make them pop, and hopefully this should complete the sort of artwork look. Yeah, now again, we've got more little ones. I just really wanted to make these pop, and I was either going to do them this colour or I was going to do them furrow, which is this green colour. But I couldn't quite make up my mind, so I thought, okay, I'm just going to go for it with this. So I'm at a funny angle. Oh, I think I kind of rubbed my stamp around there. I'll paint on the edge of here. And we can come along, and this is the good part about this now, and if we want to use our tubes of paint to put some extra colour onto here, we can.
Just to overgild that, Lily.
Oh, yeah. Always, Martin. Always. Years and years ago, right, I mean, years ago, because it's 17 years ago, I was doing Daisy and Charlie's nursery, and I was heavily pregnant, and I wanted to put this, I had the theme in the room was bears, and Martin came into the room because I needed his help for something, and I said it was already quite busy with all these bears, but I had more bear sort of border and things, and I said I'm thinking of putting bears there, and Martin started talking about me overgilding the lily and doing too much, and I was heavily pregnant with twins, and I laughed so much I couldn't get up off the floor. I mean, that doesn't sound funny to you, but it was really funny to us at the time, and now we always laugh about it because
that was overgilding of
things. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say, oh, but I'm going to do this as well. Mark's like, oh, okay. Okay. My friend once told me that before you go out, you go and look in the mirror and you take one thing off. I go and look in the mirror and put about 3 things on.
Yeah, that kind of sums it up, really, yeah.
Yeah. I've always been this way.
It's what I love about you, darling.
I've always been, before I'd even kind of really thought about maximalism, I've always been this way. When my mum comes to my house, she says it's an overload in the senses.
You obviously get it from your dad, because your mum, her house is the most boring.
She likes everything in shades of beige. So, but calls them different colours, like apple beige, corn beige. They're all beige. She just had her house done. I think I might have even spoke about this before. My mum
decorated from top to bottom, like paid a professional decorator to come and do it, and it doesn't look any different.
Doesn't look any different. It's really hard to say to her when she says, "What do you think? What do you think?" And you go, "Well,
has it been done?
It's just the same." But I never want to hurt her feelings, so I'm like, "Well, yeah, you know, it looks lovely, but." And then she comes to my house and she'll say, "What are all these things?" And I'll say, "They're my trinkets and treasures." And she's like, "Why are they all along there?" And I went, "Because I enjoy them." But she was always telling me that I need to clean my house out. And I've done it. I made my house quite minimalist, didn't I, Marty? Do you remember the minimalist thing I went through? And everybody laughed because at the end, I swear it was even busier than it had been before. I was
going to say, you've never managed a minimalist thing.
I was trying to take things off shelf. What I did in the kitchen was I actually removed shelves and just left one shelf, because what happened was I kept displaying things on shelves. And then what happened after that was, once I got rid of the shelves, I just displayed it on the walls instead. And it just grew arms and legs. I think you're just that way inclined, or you're not. I think this channel has found lots of people. Well, I'm not saying they're like me, but we are. Similar. We do like colour, pattern. We like the same things, and it's really, especially find that in the channel, the private channel group, when I say something and they go, "Oh yeah, I'm like that." So, you know, I'm not the only one. I've got one more to do. I think this is really kind of making flowers pop as well, and we'll decide whether we want to maybe put a little bit of the liner. I'm kind of running out of room here, as per usual. I have managed to create such a terrible mess today. And the other night I did a live and I was mortified because behind me you can see all the mess. But I've outgrown this space now.
Yeah.
So
starting tomorrow.
yeah.
The grand move begins.
Yeah. I'll be keeping all the storage side as it is over here.
Yeah, she says.
And I won't be taking my furniture. I keep saying to Martin, I'm not taking the furniture as well. I don't have room for it over the road. But I'll be moving into Martin's workshop.
Which is 3 times the size of this.
And well, my current space is 3 times the size of the space, not the stable itself, because the stable is vast. It's huge. It's massive. It's got all of the furniture that I'm going to do, all my things that I've hoarded throughout the years, like my displays of I've got shelving over there displaying vintage china and everything. I mean, I don't know why. It's just they're there.
I love the way you describe things. Displaying my vintage
well,
china.
They're all there.
It's a shelf that's crammed full of old china.
I'm displaying them for me. The thing is, I'm worried about moving because my daughters always say, how can I work over here and I'm alone at really late at night, because they think it's so creepy, because I think they're like the foxes and there's mice and there has once upon a time been rats in here. I mean, we've got a bit of everything. It's wildlife and there's a lot of spiders and bugs and stuff. Owls that nest in here. I'm not scared of being over here, but Martin's shed is a much drier, and I'm going to be putting a little fire in over there. Well, quite a big one actually. And I think
got it all planned out, putting a big log burner in there for the winter. It's going to be cozy.
But I think that might encourage spiders. And I do always find Martin's shed, for some reason, and as Jamie says, it's not the creepy shed. Marty's not creepy, but this one is. But I'm thinking that Marty's is quite creepy. I never like going in there by myself. Anyway, it's going to be my new. It's going to be fine once it's painted.
It's going to be lovely.
Boom. Right. This is an absolute riot of joy now. If you've just done that with your stamps, what you should be doing right now is putting them in a bucket. I haven't got my bucket, so when Martin leaves to go, when I do to the next part, he'll take them. Will you take them over to the sink for me?
I will.
Right.
I'll wash them for you.
Okay, so, and this roller probably.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm just on camera telling everybody what we're doing. Right, so that is that part done. What is my next plan? My next plan is I've already kind of decided that the bottom half of this table, I think I'm going to, see, I wanted a darker colour, but I'm not sure about putting the purple on the bottom. But I think I'm going to go for the paprika, which is this colour here. Yeah, there is going to be some design work down the bottom. And can I just show you this quickly? Because you've already seen me do this. But you know the little carp I had? I did the same thing. I've got carp going this way and a carp going that way. So we'll only need a small knob because we'll be showing, I don't want it covering up the carps. So the carps on this are going to be done the same as on here. So I've got them to paint in and do, but I'm just not going to show you that bit because it's a wee bit boring. So that's how I did that, just to bougie up my drawer. My bottom half is going to have 2 coats of paprika. Again, you don't need to see me do that, I don't think. Next plan is this. So you're going to need, I don't want to be going too far. I'm just going to do this patch here because this is wet. So I'd originally thought this might be a really good stencil. It's kind of like fans, and I thought it goes with the carp, but it's too big form. It's too big form to put under there.
Are you going over the top of this now, are you?
Aye. Oh, aye. Yes, sorry. Not aye. What are you laughing at?
Nothing. It's that thing of right. So this is what normally happens, you see, because I come in, Love's done something, I go, oh, that is lovely, darling. That is beautiful. You've done a really lovely job of that. She's like, I haven't finished.
So
I've got at least another 5 layers to go on here.
No, I've not got 5 layers, but I'm cutting up a dish sponge because I want a wee sponge. And I think you're going to be giddy when I show you what I've got in my hand. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Are we going gold leaf?
Yeah, we're going a bit gold leafy. So
whoop, whoop.
I need to grab.
Of course we're going gold leaf.
I need to grab this and put it back over here just now, right on here. Now,
just make sure it's the right way up.
I know. Well, there is that. I've done that before. Put it the wrong way, and I've also poured paint on it, and it hasn't been on the plastic. I'm just telling you. That's why I say, ask me how I know. I've made every mistake known to man. I'm using this one. This was the one I used in the Little Red Riding Hood piece. Why? Because it's curly and twirly. I'm not going to take it right into the middle. I'm just going to make a sort of border around the edge. So let's get it onto a nice position that we think is nice. And I can't go anywhere near these pink flowers just now. Dish sponge. No, you don't want too much of this because you don't want it going under your stencil. But you do want enough on it, it's gonna. And we are just going to randomly, but not on top of our, obviously, our work, make a cute little kind of border. How far will I take that? Maybe to there. and shift hand positions. Dip in the adhesive again, move it along. Now, less is more when it comes to the adhesive on your sponge, because you don't want bleed through, and I don't normally do this kind of, I used to years ago put things on with sponges, but I've found that the swirly twirly method is better, but it doesn't always work when you're doing this with the gold leaf. So we're doing this, plus it kind of ruins your brushes. Now, a little bit in here, just a wee bit. I'm just wanting to have a sort of a regular border round where I'm working, round where all my design is. See, Martin, I'm trying to pare it back a bit. Yeah. I slipped there and said, and went into my Scottishness, and I went, aye, and then I realised that it's yes. Martin was making fun of me yesterday with my Scottish accent. I went to say something. I can't remember what I went to say, and he said, you should say that on camera, and I started to laugh. I said, no. Let's bring it. And this is just a matter, is because you're not using paint, you can actually see where you've been. I just want to put something here. Now, I'm not going to go any further because this flower is wet, but you can kind of see in the light, but maybe not.
I can see it.
Where this is going to go all the way around the edges. So when this is dry, I'll put
I'll be getting the gold leaf
I'll be
out.
getting the gold leaf out. But before I do anything like that, I'm going to paint the bottom half. Yeah, paint the bottom half and get that all done and dry before and that'll give this time to get nice and ready for my gold leaf. Then we're going to do something along here. Of course we are. Yeah, and we might do something down the legs. Who knows? Maybe there'll be enough going on up the top. I don't know. Not quite sure, but we'll see where we go with this.
I don't know. I mean, is there enough going on the top?
Go away. Go and take my things over and pop them in the sink and don't be sassy.
Okay.
So we've applied our glue, and now what we're doing is we're just applying our gold leaf. Now you will need a little container, because believe it or not, I actually keep parts of this because it's really handy to use. So yeah, keep all your parts. Now you're going to need a soft brush, and you're going to need a brush that kind of almost scrapes, because you have to get all the bits in between the detail that hasn't got gold leaf on. So first of all, let's just make sure that it's all down and nice with your nice soft brush. Make sure that it's all nice and flat and it's been glued on. That kind of helps the process. I'll get the rest of that off camera. Now you need your kind of rough brush, and you kind of have to kind of deal with it until you can scrape off the pattern, scrape between the pattern almost. And this takes, when you do something like this, a little bit of time, because you have to kind of go each way. Did you see what just happened there? It took the pattern out the middle. I think there might be a bit in here as well, unless that was one big shape. It was one big shape. And you just work away, tickling it, and kind of, you might see it come out. No, that's not. This is actually my gold leaf brush. It's a delight. You're probably going to have to work it for a little while, because that small form stencil has a little bit of detail in it, and it's got little gaps, so you kind of have to work it. I just want to smooth this before I show you any more. Now, off camera, well, what the bit you didn't see is I have painted the bottom half. 2 coats. I did one basic coat, and then I did my second coat stippling. If I had known it was so chipped on the sides, I would have done 2 coats of the stippling instead of one, but it didn't really come apparent until I got the first coat down and went, you know what, I should really have think the gold's just going to add some bouginess to the whole thing. And who doesn't like bougie? I mean, Martin, who really?
Oh, who indeed?
I mean, come on. So I'm just going to get on and give this a good brush. But before Martin goes, because he's got to go and pick up our daughter who's been seemingly trying to get hold of him.
It's a common theme, isn't it? You've heard that many times, I think.
Yeah.
Got to go and pick up Daisy.
Got to go and pick up Charlie. Well, it's never really so much Charlie. It's either Tom or Daisy, but it's mostly Daisy. Right, so I'm going to keep on rubbing this until I can get all my gaps out of my stencil area. So, Martin, I'll give you a quick shimmy of the colour of the bottom half.
And come round.
Come round. So I'll kind of tilt it. So it's had 2 coats of the paprika, and I've done my little drawer, and I just kept the same detail. We'll put some gold leaf around that, or maybe some gold paint. Now you can see that this rim has changed. This rim here, I painted it the same colour as I did the leaves. So on my palette, I mean, which is a bit messy, I'm just working between the two, which is this colour, and just making it dark and light. So you can see, you can actually see it's dark and light. I'm going to go ahead and paint the whole rim, and then we're going to get our squeezy bottles out and we're going to do a pattern along that top rim. Okay.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, it's all going to happen, Martin.
Bougie.
It's bougie. You heard it here first. So the edges we are going to be running as tidy as we can along these edges, all the way around the table. Like that. Now the front. Sorry, Martin, you're going to have to come back round.
Okay.
Let you have a chair because I need to be down here. Oops, I'm dropping things.
Knocking cameras over.
Right. So on this edge, I mean, I'm just doing it pretty roughly. I mean, I'm not, by no matter means, trying to keep this perfect. It's never going to be that way. And I'm just doing this sort of square. See, that one's already bigger. I don't know about you, but once I get doing stuff like this, I forget how to do it after I've done a few of them. So I'm going to be doing this. Martin's just said don't do many because you always get flustered, and it's true. And then I'm going to take the red and I'm just going to do this around this edge. I might do another colour under there. See,
those little bottles are brilliant, aren't they?
Yeah, I've already leaned up against that one. And the last thing I'm going to do before I wax this, and I am going to wax it today with Annie Sloan's clear wax, is I got my little drawer. Now I've probably got enough lying on the floor to do this, and I just put a sort of random, just a little bit on each edge. I've touched my brush up against here like this with the glue, like that. I'll just get some more big parts from the floor because there's no point wasting it. I haven't done much of it, it's just a tiny little edge. This is why it's good to keep all these little parts.
There's loads around that side as well.
Martin's looking for all the little parts of the floor. I can tell he wants to spring into action. There's loads here as well, Marty. Okay. I haven't actually got much glue on it, so it's... There's no point wasting it. Because some of it, once it gets down onto my, like, once this breaks up a bit and it becomes flakes and it's on my carpet, it's of absolutely no use because it's too dirty down there to pick it all up. So you may as well pick the bigger chunks up as you go. Oh, look at this piece here. This is going to finish it off nicely, probably. Is there anywhere else that I haven't got glue?
There's another big piece just around that corner there.
Oh, so there is, Martin. Now, one more piece. There we go. Now, just gonna.
And there's all that.
I don't need it. I don't think I need any more, babe. I'm
Okay.
actually. But thank you for being on. Gold watch. I didn't actually put that much on. It's just to give it a little bit of zhuzh, and it's to try and get it to match the front. And there wasn't enough space to do any kind of stencil, so I thought, there now. That's burnished in quite nice. How about Goldie? If you can brush it for every day and there'll still be parts come off. Catcher must have it all over her toast every day in her porridge. And right, there we go. That's the drawer. I think I'm going to paint the side of the drawer purple just so it stands out amongst the rest. Let's have a wee look, see. I think the drawer could do a little bit of, I think I might put a bit of decoupage paper in there. There we go. So I'll find a nice wee, like, furniture pool. I'll decoupage the inside of the drawer, paint it purple. We'll do this all the way around, and I'm leaving the bottom plain because there's enough going on, but I really quite like this one, Matty.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah? So I'll get on and
right now. That is awesome. Can I just say something as well? You know, like what you were saying before about if you're not good at hand painting.
Yeah.
Just remember how Lel did this.
You shouldn't be unable to look at my videos and go, well, I can't draw, because a lot of people say to me, but I can't draw like you, and that doesn't have to be the factor that stops you doing it. And this table looks completely unique. It looks completely unique, and all I've really done is I've used everything that's available to make it work. I've traced an image that I got online free. I've used another image that I got online free, a furniture stamp and some leaves, and then we've bouged it up with some gold leaf, and we just coordinated the drawer. I don't know, when I found my koi carp, I had the big one and the small one. I didn't go looking for it. It just happened to be on the image, and I thought, oh, that's really good. I'll take the little one as well. But I didn't think I was going to be able to use it. So it's good that it's been able to work in the drawer. So I'll get the pattern done. I just want to tidy the inside of that drawer. I mean, I've cleaned it, but it looks quite horrible. So I'll maybe put Fly My Pretty, which is one of my papers, in the inside of the drawer, and that will finish that off very nicely. Waxing. We've talked about waxing before, but I'll be waxing it with a big wax brush, putting it on, wiping it off with a soft cloth, and that'll be the waxing. Okay, so we're finished. Was this tricky? No, remember what I said. A free source image, trace it, and then just transpose it with the carbon paper. The stamp works with it as well, so you're not having to use anything towards that. But none of these things, as I said to you in the video, means that you can't create the most amazing thing, the most unique thing, because nobody else is going to do what you do. I think it's a great way of being able to realise your vision and make your designs if you can do this. So there's no reason why you can't attempt these things, and this was enjoyable. I've been through the mill recently because the Annie Sloan piece took up quite a lot of time, so I really found this really super enjoyable and fun. Even though there was painting in it, a hand painting, and I said I would never do that again for ages, it was enjoyable and fun, and I think it's not too big either. And I mean, I kept the legs just in one solid colour because I think that there's so much going on the top that it needs a little bit of, and that's it really for today. I think the gold leaf has given it an extra bit of bouge. Remember, if this isn't your jam and you're looking at it and you're going, oh no, that wouldn't work in my house, remember, all you need to do is change the colours for your muted tones. And if this isn't bright enough for you, my lovely people, then brighten them all up. It's that easy. Okay, Martin, do you have anything to add today?
No. Well, yes, I do actually.
Yes.
Yeah. I think this is the sort of thing that even I could probably do, to be honest with you.
Yes.
That the way that you carbon traced the image, the picture of the fish.
Just remember, paint it in first and then put it back over the top for your details.
Yeah, and it just watching you do it just seemed like, oh, that is easy. Anybody could do that. So yeah, get it. Get your carbon paper out. Have a go. You know.
A
Yeah.
little bit of a game changer as well is the little clay squeezy bottles.
Those little bottles as
with
well.
the acrylic in it, because that's so easy. You're not having to reload a brush. You've got more control. It's kind of simpler because it's more like a pen. You can, you know, be really free and easy with your paint. So that's another thing, Martin, that you'd be able to do.
Like I said, I mean,
are you saying that you'd like to do this?
No, I'm not. No, but I actually do have something in the back of my head that might be a little surprise later on in the year, a little bit. But no, seriously, on this piece, just the way it all came together, it was fun. It was fun. Yeah, I enjoyed watching you do it as well, and filming it. It was. It came together really well, didn't it? Yeah,
it did. It did come together well. Anyway, that's us. We'll see you next Sunday, or if you're a channel member, we'll see you next Thursday. And have a good week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.